This is Stephen Winkowski from Christian Music Network, and we're here with Howard Gripp. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Stephen. How you doing?
Good, good, good. So tell me about yourself.
Well, going way back, I started playing my first instrument when I was 6. I played drums. And then a couple of years later, my brother gave me some mismatched drums from his drum set, and drums was my thing for a lot of years. I played all drums in high school, marching band, jazz band, all of that. And when I was 16, I started my first band, played in my first club, I guess, back at that time. Rock band, everything was rock and roll for me back then. I'm not going to say how old I am. So
Okay.
I've played forever. I played my whole life, pretty much music. My mom was very musical. Her side of the family is very musical. So I think that's where I got the talent from. But I actually recorded a CD when I was like 30. I had a small record contract and got some airplay in Europe and things like that, but really pushed hard to, try to be the big rock star, and pumped all my money into that, and it just didn't pan out. So at a certain age, I just said, okay, that's it. I'm done. I didn't play for a few years. But musicians, that if you're a true musician, that bug just sits inside you and it's got to come back out. So I formed another band and played in that for a little while, and the band kind of just dismembered, but the girl I was playing with wanted to do some acoustic stuff. So I said, sure, I'll try doing that. So I moved out to acoustic guitar, learned guitar, and we did a lot of shows together as an acoustic duo. I played and sang, played a little bass on that too. And then went through a lot of tough times with my marriage, and the old band days kind of came back to haunt me, and ended up getting a divorce. We have 3 boys, or they're all older now, but 3 boys, and I was divorced for a little while, and I met my new wife, and during that time I didn't lose my faith, but I had walked away from church, shall we say. I wasn't praying regularly, and I was relying on me and not God. And when the whole marriage dissolved, and when I actually started looking for another partner, another wife, I wanted to find someone that was Christian and someone that would help me get back into the faith where I belonged, right?
Yeah.
So I met my wife, Michelle. I think the 3rd date we went to church on a Saturday night. It was awesome. I just hadn't been for so long and felt a little weird at first, but we kept going regularly on these Saturday nights. And, before, when I went to church, when I was younger, I always wanted to play in a worship group, but I didn't have time, or I was too much into the rock scene to do a worship band, and I wanted to be the big rock star, not a Christian guy. Well, that changed when she started getting me to go back to church, and I saw these musicians playing, and how, it just lit a different fire in me. When we started going back to church and started seeing these worship teams. And then 2 years ago, we went to Life Fest, Penobscot. Awesome. I got out of there, and it was like, God's talking to me. He's telling me I got to do something with my music. I got to do something. I got to, I've been playing an acoustic duo ever since, but something different. That's like cover songs and 70s rock and country rock, stuff like that. And so I got out of Life Fest 2 years ago, and I'm going to do something. But I did join a worship team. I joined my first church after I became a member of my first church. After all these years, I got the nerve. My best friend finally got me to go up and talk to the worship leader, and I tried out for worship team, and I made that. So that was my first step. But then I guess my fire kind of shifted or went out. I was busy, but I was in the worship team, and I thought maybe that was it. I thought that's what I wanted to do. So I started playing in this. I kept playing in this acoustic duo, which I still do right now. But I started talking to my worship pastor about God's telling me to do something different with my music. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he's telling me. He's telling me to do something. And then we went to Life Fest last year, this summer. And when I got done with Life Fest, I actually wrote my first Christian song at Life Fest in July this year on Saturday night of Life Fest. It was just us. I was really fired up. And I told my wife after Life Fest that this time I'm going to do something with it. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do something with it. God's telling me to do something, so I'm gonna. So we got done with that, and I started writing. Songs were just kind of coming to me. But it had been years since I had written anything, and I don't know how good of a writer I was back then. So I found John Chisholm, Nashville Christian songwriters out of Nashville, and I signed up for his 8-week course, and I learned how to write better. And that inspired me. One, it not only taught me how to write better music, right, but it really got me closer to God writing those songs. The class did more than just teach me how to write songs. It got me closer to God. So when I get done with that class, I said, all right, well, I'm going to go cut a CD. I'm going to go cut an album. I'm going to do something. So 3 weeks ago, I went to Nashville, cut my first 2 songs. One's going to be released next week, and then the other one will be released, I don't know, probably January 1st, something like that. And when I was down there, I got to meet John in person, because everything was Zoom. We did. And we talked, and we've both been around the business for a long time. And it was like, everybody keeps telling you you're too old to do stuff. You're too old to do stuff. And, God's telling me I'm not too old to do this. So I talked to John, and he's got an artistry development program that I'm starting next week, and shifting a little bit of gears. And we're actually going to do an EP first next April, and we're going to do a full rollout and release, and we're going to see what happens. So my goal is not to be a big star. I tried that once and I'm not 20 anymore, but my goal is to record music that people can relate to, situations that the real life problems that people can relate to. And, I want to write music that will either introduce them to God, bring them back to God, or strengthen their faith that they already have. So I want to create some kind of music ministry, whether that's going around and playing little festivals, or going to jails and playing to people, or going to AA meetings and playing to people, and just to try to help people get better. So that's kind of my journey from beginning to where I'm at now. So
Great. Well, let's talk about your songs. You have When I Pray. Tell me about that.
Yeah, When I Pray was a tough one. That was the second one I wrote. I've got a son that has addiction, and that song is about him. It's about addiction, facing addiction from a parent's perspective, relying on God to help me through, right? I got a call, and it starts right away. I got a call at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning that he was in the hospital and he wasn't going to make it because he had OD'd. And that song is really about, my faith getting tested, but my faith relying on God to help me get through that situation. So that's what that song is about.
Okay, great. You also have He Rescued Me.
Yep.
So
He Rescued Me is my salvation song. I mean, I went through, when I was in the band days, I was your normal partier, and everything you could do wrong, I probably did wrong, and and then I had children, and my marriage was in a bad spot, and I just got to the point where I was done. I mean, I took off one Sunday morning, and I was going to end it all, and something turned me into a church, and I went to that church, and I bawled and I surrendered everything I had, to God. And he said, "You're not done yet."
Yeah.
And I walked out of the church and my whole life changed. So that's what this song is about.
Cool, cool, cool. And you have another song too you want to
Yeah,
talk
I got
about?
another one called Slip and Fall.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
that is it's a song about us slipping in our faith. We're not perfect. We're all sinners.
Uh-huh.
We can't we're gonna slip, we're gonna fall. But to know that God is there and he will pick you if you rely on him and you confess your sins and repent and turn away, he will pick you back up if you slip and fall. So
Cool, 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 cool. And where can we get your music now?
well, since I'm new to Christian artistry, my first one's coming out November 22nd. It'll come out on Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes and all the platforms, Pandora, all that. I do have a website now that has some of my music on it too. I'm going to be going to my church actually and doing some live acoustic videos on there that I'll be posting on my website of not finished product, but songs that will be coming out probably on the EP.
Cool, cool, cool. So how can we contact you?
HowardGripp at
Okay.
yahoo.com.
Great. Okay. And have you shared your songs with the other people?
Well, it's so weird because, like I said, I've played on stage forever. I mean,
Right, yeah.
I still get, you still get that little nervous every time you go up
Sure.
to play, but it goes away. Right? It's a good nervous, right?
Yeah.
So I've been writing and writing and writing, and a gentleman invited me to a Christian open mic. There
Okay.
wasn't very many people there, and my wife and I went, and I didn't plan on playing, and I hadn't played it for my music for anybody but my wife and my daughter.
Yeah.
And she said, "Go get your guitar. You're going to play. You're going to play." And
Yeah.
Gene Schmidt kept saying, "Come on, just go get it. You can play a couple." And I played my first three there, and it was super emotional because, there's songs from within me,
Sure.
and to share that with somebody else it was very emotional, but very cool.
Awesome. Awesome. So, do you have any advice for other um musicians?
Well, what I would say, like I say, I'm new to the Christian industry about 2 years now is all. So
Mm.
I'm learning, I'm taking all kinds of classes. I'm members of all kinds of Christian groups and music groups, and I'm learning everything. But my advice would be, just from a musician standpoint, is, no matter what they say, you're never too old to follow your dream. Your dreams may change, like my dream has changed from being a big rock star and to ministering to people with my music, but it's still a musical dream. God told me to, God says, go do something with your music, then go do something with your music. And if he opens a door, then run through it. And if he closes the door, then run away from it. So that's what I would say. Just if your heart tells you that music is what you should be doing, then go do it.
Great. I'd like to thank you for coming coming on, Harold.
Yep.
Was my pleasure. Any last words?
Well, for sure, I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your ministry for sure. I've listened to a lot of your interviews over the last couple of weeks.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
that's very cool. So
Wonderful.
I've reached out to some of the musicians, which is very cool, and they've reached out to me. So
Cool.
you're doing a great thing there for musicians. So I'd love for people to join me in this journey to see what God's going to do. I'd love to come back in a year and be
Sure.
able to say, "Hey, look what happened," or "Hey, look what didn't happen." Whatever happens, right? So yeah, that'd be really cool.
Well, yeah, well, we're looking forward for your EP to come out and more songs and hopefully you can play at that festival.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So and God bless you in all that you do and good night.
Yeah. Good. God bless you too, brother.
Okay, okay.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.